My name is Saurabh Mishra. My cultural background is Indian, and I've spent more than 2/3 of my life living in Australia, so Australian as well. My creative practice is Hindustani classical music and the vocal form of that. A lot of people are passionate about one thing. My blessing or curse, depending on how you view it, is I'm passionate about many things. I'm passionate about just about anything that comes my way. Music clearly is an abiding passion. I am an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman. I've done a lot of work in healthcare and IT in healthcare. I get very passionate about my projects. I've got a couple of projects on right now. Very passionate about my family and their well-being, my friends, and I'm involved with other creative pursuits like theatre. Very interested and involved in that as well. Golf, cricket, so you name it, and whatever I do, I certainly put my whole into it. I really strongly identify with two cultures. It's the Indian and the Australian, or call it the Western. I think the Indian part of my culture really talks very eloquently about spiritual connection and spiritual knowing, and that pretty much the purpose of life is to understand who I am, spiritually speaking. And a lot of practices like yoga, meditation, and in fact Hindustani classical music are very much designed for that. So I do meditate, I do practice yoga, I do sing. So all of those things on a daily basis, it really connect me back very firmly with that part of my culture. And with my Australian / Western identification, I think this is a great place to live. We're relaxed, we can laugh at ourselves. I think Australians are known for a good sense of humor, and all those things are very meaningful to me. From a business perspective, for example, things go up, things go down. I think both things, first of all, from an Indian perspective, the ability to kind of see past what are temporary ups and downs to the whole that is always there. It's quite joyous. And from an Australian perspective, to really be able to laugh at that and be a bit happy-go-lucky. So I think both things are certainly very much a constant part of my day-to-day living. When it comes to Hindustani classical music, it is a highly improvised art form. So if I'm singing for say half an hour, it's just the one song that I'm singing for half an hour. And I might only have 2 or 3 lines of that song. The rest of it is all made up. It's all improvised. Now, it's not just anything. It's obviously made up in a certain framework of what is called the raga, which is the melody, and the tal, which is the beat cycle, and infinite variations within that. And certainly the expectation is that I don't repeat something. So what does it take to be able to present something like that? Obviously, a lot of training, a lot of focus on the vocal training and the purity of the note, but ultimately you've got to go into you've got to be very mindful, and you've got to go into I think a space which is where creativity comes and it's inspiring, and all that can only happen when you really you settle down your breathing, you kind of let go of things that have happened before. So I think mindfulness really becomes a very important element of a performance like that. So that's really how, and as I mentioned, certainly the Indian part of my culture is really all about that idea of self-discovery and self-discovery through being observant and mindful. So that really comes in very strongly with Hindustani classical music. And the other part of the Indian spiritual tradition is this idea of joy, expansive joy. So who are we ultimately? The answer is we are joy. We are bliss. We are bliss personified. And with this music, I certainly feel that. And I'm not talking about even performing in front of anyone. It's just when I'm sitting by myself and doing my own what's called riyaz or training. It's there, that joy is there right there. So I think whether it's the music itself or a lot of the lyrics, a lot of the songs are also about devotion and joy. So those things combine very nicely. And each time I do a riyaz, it's very much really about connecting with that joy. So yeah, that's how I think the culture and the practice come together quite synergistically. I mentioned creativity, and I think, I think of us having different kinds of consciousnesses, different kinds of minds. And so there is certainly a creative consciousness. And I think that's a common universal creative consciousness. I just happen to express that in the form of a Hindustani classical vocal. Another person expresses it through Hindustani classical instrumental. Another person expresses it through jazz. Another person expresses it through visual art. Another person expresses it through writing or storytelling, dance. So I feel fundamentally we're all, as humans, going back to the same creative source, the same creative consciousness. We're getting our inspiration from there and just expressing it in ways that we are comfortable with or more conditioned with. So I think that way, arts, culture, creativity really is a way to. I think if you can see past and you can go back into any kind of artist, you'll find the sense of that creative consciousness. I think we're all viscerally tuned to that. So that's what it for me when I look at any kind of artistic performance, any kind of creative endeavor, and to be honest, business as well. I mean, there's nothing different there. A great idea or a great strategy well executed, it's also coming from that same creative consciousness. So I essentially see a fundamental unity, and that's how it brings us all together. There's a beautiful phrase in Sanskrit, and the phrase is Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. Hari is God, the divinity. Ananta means infinite, and Hari Katha is the stories of the expressions of the divine are infinite. So the divine is infinite, and the expressions of divine are infinite. So I think diversity means exactly that. Diversity means that it's an opportunity for me to look at this endless, this infinite expression of the same divinity, in terms of different practices, different cultures, different races, different beliefs. Each human being, if you fundamentally believe that each human being is an expression of divinity, then life is magical. As you meet new people, you just look for what is the spark of divinity, what is the special thing that the divine has manifested in this particular personality or in this particular group of people. I think it's a joyous way to live. So I think diversity is. I think we're very, very fortunate, to live in a country like Australia where diversity is encouraged. It's a public policy encouragement. But it's there to see. I mean, Melbourne is not the world's most livable city for no reason. It's because it's so diverse, and I think whether you think about it from arts, music, or even just food, for example, it adds to such richness for our lives. So I think diversity is an absolute asset, absolute cornerstone for our community.